Morning.
1, 2, 3. Ah!
Oh, yeah, how's the back?
Oh, it's fine.
Got enough beverages with you today?
No, maybe not.
Right.
What's happening? We're doing our board change. Yes.
Bad news is...
Fuck's sake, no.
Yeah, already. Fucking hell, this week.
What?
Nige's off sick.
Nige's off sick with...
COVID-like symptoms.
Jesus.
Or at least
Yeah.
he's got some kind of tickle up his arse from the holiday he's just been on. It's probably just a fucking hangover. But I had a very unconvincing voicemail from him this morning going, oh, I can't come in today. I'm all ill.
What was I going to say? Does he get a lateral flow test done?
He's going out to get a proper test this
proper
morning.
test this morning, okay, good. That's sorted.
But of course it can be up to 3 days or so before you get the results.
Yeah,
so,
and also, but in the meantime, you could just do a lateral flow quickly at home.
Well, if he's whatever the lurgy he's got,
yeah.
I don't want him here because I'm going on holiday next week, and I don't want him giving anything to me. So he's off for the rest of the week.
Okay, fine.
Which puts the screws on us a little bit. By the way, we're recording this job.
Oh, good.
So you're on camera now.
Serious?
Just there.
Okay.
So we should probably tell people who you are.
Sorry?
We should probably tell people who you are. This is Linda.
Anyway, moving swiftly on to work matters.
Work matters. So yes, it's a bit of a pain because this job was lined up for today, and there's various mechanics involved. I was going to do the board change.
Yep.
I was going to get Nige to do some wall chasing.
Yep.
And some floor lifting, and it it's perhaps kind of gone to cock because we're down on manpower.
Guess what? What do you say? Well, manpower's not good enough for you.
You've got a bad back. These things always take longer than you think, but especially like a consumer. I don't like doing consumer unit changes, as I've said so often before, because you kind of got the pressure on to get the power back on, and even though it's mechanically fairly straightforward, it just seems to take ages. I did one a week ago. And yeah, it just takes that little bit longer than you think. I think that by lunchtime we ought to be able to get the consumer unit sorted out, which leaves this afternoon for
mechanical things.
Mechanical stuff. Whether there's enough time to, I don't want to rush it. Basically, I'm not going to do a shit job. So if it looks like we're better off tackling a certain element of it on another day, so be it.
Like what's it till Sunday, as far as you? I mean.
No, I'm when I get back from holiday.
Okay. Carry on.
That's it, right? Okay. It's a boring story. But Linda's with us because you wanted to get some van time, didn't you?
Yep.
Despite your bad back.
Yep.
How is did you manage to resolve your constipation issue?
Yes.
Jolly good.
What are those called? Dino rods at both ends. But anyway, I'm back in favour.
Ah, jolly good. You look like a ninja. A lot of bikes around here, isn't there?
Beautiful bikes. Magnificent bikes.
Some antique bikes. Here's the meat and two veg of the things. So this is obviously original to the house, this being a late 60s property. Bloody hell. I'll tell you what, this H8 Nunn & Son, you see their signs on a lot of these old installations. Look at that telephone number, 24372.
Didn't ring.
Yeah. You have to add another 15 digits on with today's codes. But I wonder what happened to them. Obviously they're long gone now, but I wonder if the family's still around. You see a lot of their stuff around here. Obviously, original board, rewirable fuse box.
Dated approximately?
The house will be late 60s.
Okay.
The wiring is copper clad PVC clad copper rather. Very close to a train track. Obviously in the 80s someone came along and stuck in a shower And then subsequently someone's changed what would have been a cartridge fuse there for a breaker. And you've got the old doorbell arrangement up there, which still works.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the transformer. And it's pretty much original. The place hasn't been monkeyed with too much. The main exception being obviously the second board being added for the shower, but also this rather shonky 2.5 cable which goes and serves a couple of outlets. And it's hanging off of a 30 amp breaker, which that's a bit of a no-no, isn't it? Appendix 15 of BS 7671 says you can do that. So it's, oh, I'm zooming in accidentally. I've gone wrong at my nose.
Although it contradicts itself, but carry on.
Yeah, it does. Well, I've moaned about this before on video, where you design a circuit so that the protective device protects the cabling, and then Appendix 15 comes along and goes, yeah, but if you want to stick a 2.5mm off a 30 or 32 amp for one socket, we'll allow that. And I think the spirit of that is that it's for a socket that's by the board, not one that goes off and serves multiple outlets elsewhere in the house. So that's a bit stupid. So we're going to be pulling this out today. It's had its time, a very fine job it's done until now too. We're going to be putting in something a bit newer and swishier. We're just waiting for Pablo to come around from the DNO to make this safe, because there's no isolator here.
Is he related to Pedro?
I think he's related to Dino as well. But yeah, he should be here any time. And then I'm hoping that we can get this changed out this morning. It's now 9 o'clock. The chip wagon will be at Cities 12. 9 tend to be there. And then this afternoon we can look at doing some of the mechanicals, which is adding some new sockets around the place. We got the EICR results. There's one IR fault. The numbers weren't too bad actually. The socket ring is 251mm, not 2515, but the ring end to ends came out okay. R1, R2s came out okay, even the IRs came out okay, with the exception of the kitchen sockets. Let's go and have a look at that. When it says kitchen socket, what we actually have is a 6mm cable buried in the wall here. To this point, this would have been an old cooker point, an old CCU, cooker connection unit, or cooker control unit rather, which would have been above the cooker, because that's where they used to stick them. And in fact, you know, I was in a house up the road last weekend, exactly the same setup, exactly same fuse box, same 80s shower unit added, old cooker switch above the cooker, right where you don't want it. And what's happened here is someone, you can see by this diagonal chase going down to this socket here, someone's taken that 6mm, stuck a 2.5 on it, taken it down to this socket down here, and there's an IR fault, which won't trouble the old board of course. It is going to cause us trouble with our new board going on today, so we want to dig that out. We're going to put it back to what it was, which is a cooker circuit, and the idea is to feed a new cable into here to serve sockets. That's the idea. Whether it'll get done today or not remains to be seen, but certainly we can't get that circuit working again until we find the IR fault on it, so we need to dig that out. We need to get this board on. Tails are 16mm. Main bonding, someone's upgraded the bonding at some point. Your water and your gas are both 10mm, but the main earth is 6, which is probably all alright because it's a 60 amp supply here. These houses are all 60 amp, so that's all fine. I'm thinking I might put this lower down. I might put our new board down here, take new cables up, put an enclosure up there to extend the existing circuits. That just makes it a bit more accessible. Yeah, bit of extra work, but we've got time. You can't go by the rating on the fuse carrier, of course, because most of them are rated at 100 amp. It doesn't necessarily mean the fuse inside is, but this one is actually rated at 60 amp. It says 60 amp there, so it's very unlikely someone's come along since it was originally built and stuck in an 80 or 100 amp fuse, because the carrier, the head, isn't rated for that. So, and this installation, apart from having a shower added on, obviously hasn't been monkeyed with over the years. It's all on its original socket, its original Crabtree socket. Someone's put a couple of extra sockets in the garage, and obviously we've had the cooker circuit's been recently monkeyed with, but otherwise this house is
as built, really. Marvellous. So yes, I think we'll lower this down, and it's another SBS board going in. SBS! Obviously we've only got 5 fuseways here, 4 in that black box and 1 for the shower. We've got several going on here, so we've got a breaker, that's just a breaker for the SPD, 40 amp for the shower, RCBO, 32 amp RCBO for the ring circuit, 32 amp RCBO for the new kitchen socket circuit, which we've got to try and pull in but might not get done today, 32 amp RCBO for the cooker circuit if we can find the fault on that and recommission it. If not, we'll have to pull a new cable in for that as well. 16 amp for the garage sockets, which is on an existing 2.5 radial, 6 amp for the light and doorbell, and I think the doorbell and light I'll combine in an adaptable box up there. So we'll stick an adaptable box up, extend these circuits down, stick this on the wall. Incidentally, I've shown, we did a video before about these SBS boards and had a rather curious breaker, a little half-size breaker. They've changed them now. These are what the new breakers look like. So they're the full size. That's not a button there. It's just to make it look decoratively matching to the RCBOs. But yeah, double pole breaker. I am liking that. Cheers, Pablo. What a nice guy. Well, he's come and made safe our installation. So the power is now off. He's going to come back later to re-energise it for us. And you know what, I'm thinking we stick this down here, Linda. We may as well use the existing tails, redirect them through a tails gland into the top of the thing here. Put a 40mm gland on that side to take all our final circuits out, run them up the wall to the what will be now the junction point, get rid of the Henley block, and that gives us an installation that's more accessible. Take a look inside this bad boy. 4 fuses, 30 amp, 30 amp. These carriers are labelled as 15 amp actually, but the light one has a 6 amp, 5 amp, sorry, fuse wire in it. We verified that when we did the ICR. And they don't make them like this anymore, and thank goodness for that too, because the earthing arrangement at the top is fucking horrible. Trying to get all the wires into this little terminal. The amount of times I tightened it up where we were doing the ICR and then a couple would drop out again. You've also got the tails and the main earth terminal down the bottom here, which again you can't seem to tighten for love nor money. Fucking solid stuff, solid kit.
So those like fuse carriers or whatever, rewirable?
Yeah, rewirable fuse carriers. Okay. You can see the fuse wire.
Oh wow, yeah, that's amazing.
Between the 2 points there. Obviously, you've got to make sure that the right fuse wire is used for the right application. There's our ring circuit, and here's where someone's jerry-rigged this radial into it at 30 amps, 2.5 mil. But yeah, it's been up there a long time. Let's have this colour off. There's your neutral bar. These things just weren't built with any expansion in mind, were they? You got 4 fucking terminals and 4 fuseways, and back in the 60s, I guess that's what they thought you'd ever need. Well, you've got your cooker, your sockets, your lights, and your water heater. What else would you possibly need? So yeah, they weren't designed with much expansion in mind, these things. And this little fella here, let's just pull the cover off that. This would have been put in around the 1980s. It's actually got on it BS 5419-1977 as the standard it was made to. So again, that dates it to sort of the early 80s when it actually went on the wall. Again, not a lot to say about it really. It's just a single circuit. Someone's run it off some 6mm tails, and that serves the 40 amp shower. Right, well, let's strip these boxes off the wall, shall we? You go, girl! Linda, the demolition expert here. Linda the ninja. Ripping the place apart. Meanwhile, I found our pesky IR fault. Yeah, this is in the kitchen wall. This again would have been perhaps a cooker control unit up here originally, an isolator switch. And metal box, metal lid, metal screws. I don't know how well you can see that, but the screw has gone through here and penetrated into the brown, does that come out on camera? The brown insulation on the line wire. So I expect that's going to be our IR fault. Now that that screw's been taken out, I think if we retest that circuit, as we soon will, we'll probably find that it checks out okay. Yeah, that's a job, isn't it? Hopefully our 6mm going back to the board is alright and we can reutilise that. Okay, Linda's disconnected this 6mm at the other end, so we're going to do our IR testing from this end. Let's just make sure that we're nice and clear now. Line neutral, there shouldn't be any reading between there. Lovely. Line earth, I think this is where the fault was last time, between line and earth, because of that earthed screw penetrating the insulation. And now that that's gone, that reads high. Let's go to neutral earth. Fantastic. All clear. So our 6mm back to the board's okay. The fault was on the DIY job of this 2.5 that's been shanked onto it to feed that socket down there out of zone, which is something we did pick up on our EICR, of course. We said, well, it's out of zone and it's got an IR fault. My homeowner was like, yeah, it's probably that cable I put in, rip it out. Which is exactly what we will be doing. So, marvellous. We can reutilise the cooker circuit for cooking. How goes the adaptable boxing?
Well, thank you.
We're just going to use Vargo and Ideal connectors in here to extend our circuits down, aren't we, Linda? Which will hopefully not look too shite.
Sodding stuff, I tell you.
She's having a fun time, so I'll go and have a sit down.
Make me a cup of tea, love. Pressing it. Go for it.
Well, that's our board on. And what a beautiful board it is too. So we've got an adaptable box up there full of Vargo and Ideal connectors just joining the circuits, excuse me, together. We've brought them down the wall, a bit of metal banding just to satisfy all that premature collapse stuff. The existing tails were long enough to get in there. One thing, this applies not just to these boards but to other boards in general, is these damnable fucking tail clamps, which is supposed to fit there. You might stand a chance if the grommet for the tails, the knockout for it, the 32mm knockout, was directly above where they're going to be going in. But where they're coming in at a different angle, you've got absolutely fucking no chance of forming that around through there, not in any kind of easy way. And this was with, these are 16mm tails as well, because it's a 60 amp service here. If you imagine it was 25mm non-flexi tails, you would have a fucking ball ache of a job trying to get that through there. Which is what I had on a job last week. I fitted one of these last week. I don't do many CU changes. I've said before, probably said it on this fucking video, I'll lose track of what I've said. I don't like doing CU changes. I find it quite stressful. You've got to get it in, got to get it done. Got to get it the power back on. Stresses me out. It's one of the few things that stresses me out, board changes. Anyway, tails clamps. Yeah, I think, I don't know, some manufacturer somewhere thought, well, what can we do that makes our board different to everybody else? I know, we'll stick a tails clamp, and now they're all doing it. And they're all a bit shit, really, because it's very difficult, as I say, to form your tails to go through the damn thing. So, you know what? That one can fuck off, which is exactly what happened to the one last week as well. I just got fucked off into the bin. If you're going to give me a tails clamp, give me a hole directly above so the tails can go straight down, through and in, and not have me trying to fucking bend a 25mm cable especially if it's a non-flexi, to get it into the goddamn holes. Otherwise, I think it's a beautiful board. What do you think about these SBS boards, Linda?
No, beautiful.
Yeah.
Really, really beautiful.
Yeah. This is the dual busbar stuff, which we showed in another video. I just got on really well with it. I think it's great. It gets rid of all those flappy neutral tails. It gives you proper two-pole isolation. It's all the conductors. What do I do with that? There we go. I've got a couple of spares here. And I was showing earlier that the new MCBs, dual busbar down the bottom, double pole. That's just fantastic, that is. Nice bit of kit, and it just allows good segregation of your circuits, better than some of the boards where the neutrals just pass through. And that, again, I don't fit many boards, but I think this is perhaps my third SBS board this year. I fitted an Lucian. There's a video coming about that. We should actually film that in bloody June, but we've got to go back in September to do some work with the DNO before we can finally finish that one off. But and you also get people sort of quite often on social media saying, if you want to keep the DIYers and the non-accredited people out of board changes, then stop the shops from selling them. Why can you go into B&Q and pick up a bloody CU if you don't have to show any ideas as an electrician or anything, which is one way of looking at it. But if you want to go down there, if you want to make that happen, that's the brand to buy, because they only sell to trade. You ain't going to find this dual busbar stuff anywhere else. And because it's dual busbar, no one's going to come along and shonk in some other branded breaker. I remember you were saying you're on a job where what happened there? You had to shonk in a
second-hand, very old Wilex into a board, and I had to force and force and force.
What brand board was it? It was some unusual brand, I think, if I remember right. I can't remember. But yeah, much forcing and completely. But that's what your boss made you do, wasn't it? Your boss was like, no, you fit that breaker, or you find a breaker that will fit that board, and you just had to find something that was on the van because you were under orders to, and you knew it was wrong, and you hated doing it, and you complained about it, but that's what your boss said, no, you're doing that. You ain't going to do that with this board, which I think is great, because it stops the people who shouldn't be messing with it from messing with it, and it's also going to confuse the hell, as I said in the previous video, out of the local competition. Sorry, boys and girls who are going to turn up in the future perhaps to put in a new circuit and go, what the hell is this? Because they ain't going to have any spares for this on the van probably. So I think this is great. I like fitting these. I think they're good for business, and I think they're an excellent product. And SBS aren't paying me to say this. This is what I like. So we finally got all this in today, and we're ready to power back on now. We've had to fit an intermediate earth terminal on, so well, we didn't have to. We could have not shonked arm-egged another hole into the side of this and taken our bonding cables through, but the bonding cables were naturally falling onto this board anyway. So we have stuck an earth block on there, and you get people going, oh, you shouldn't be sticking stuff on the DNO's board. It makes sense for it to be there, and it works there, and I can live with it. But otherwise, it's we're going to power it up now, and then we're going to do a chase in the living room, aren't we, to get an extra socket in there, and then we're going to call it a day here, because that should bring us to the end of the working day. We've got one spare RCBO here, which was going to be a new feed into the kitchen. We just can't do that today because Nige is off with his weeping vagina or whatever the fuck he's got. But yes, he's off today. So we've been a bit short-handed, and it's taken us a bit of time to get all this in. And we've got to do a bit of further testing, and we've still got to do all the labelling, of course, as well. Always a bit I almost forget every time. I go, shit, the labelling. Using the Brother E550 WVP, excellent label printer. But that's great. So SBS boards.
What's not to like?
What's not to like? You can get a bit of a bone on for them. Or not to leave out the female counterparts, a bit of a wide on.
I had a C-section, so there's no wide on there.
Oh.
We didn't say it.
We'll just
Sorry. What have I done?
nice springy active bolts as well. The amount of times you're trying to put on some of the premium boards as well, a fucking front on, and the screws pop out or don't go into the back.
Sorry, was that very inappropriate?
Oh yeah,
Why don't?
Conjured up wonderful thoughts.
You're so sweet. Hey, you're so lovely. Do you want to come live with me?
Bloody hell.
Exactly, promise.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you're so sweet.
When you finish fiddling with your pussy, we'll go and get some chips.
Oh, please get one of this, a little one. Just a little one, even on my phone. Oh, look at that. Hey, you've got white pubes. Yes, we have. I'm looking at pussy porn.
Looking at pussy pictures on the fucking thing.
The little kitty cat. Oh, you filmed it anyway.
Jesus Christ. I'm the last real man left alive. Okay, now is a hot. Do you want a hot chip? Jesus. I've been in the van with bloody Nige and his dieting antics.
I want coffee and drugs.
Coffee and drugs. Can we not do booze and drugs?
No.
I prefer booze and drugs.
Coffee and drugs for my back. Which I shouldn't
What
mention.
can I eat?
Shouldn't mention health and safety issues, should I?
Right, well, let's go get a coffee then while my chips cool.
Right, please.
Oh, floorboard pulling. Let's get the old nail puller on there, go. Marvellous. Under the floor, we've got to drop a socket down to the living room below, which is probably going to be in this cavity here. So I need to drill through these joists and tap into the wiring here, original wiring. They've got the old buckle clips here that you just don't see anymore. Pretty good, those buckle clips, but they're not something you tend to find these days. I don't know how much slack I've got to play with. It'd be ideal if I could come off the back of the socket here, but I don't think I'm going to get around without damaging this wall. So I'll probably have to put in some like a Hager J803 maintenance-free box or something like that.
Driver?
Some drivers to your left, behind you. Right, while Linda lies on the floor terminating that socket, I should go upstairs. Shan't I, puss? Yes. Yes, I will. And terminate the junction. So back at the other end, that's into Linda's cable there, and Linda's put this J803 into place. Maintenance free junction which can live under the floor there, quite permitted. Not permitted in other countries, but yet okay in the UK to stick something like that in. So I'm just going to spur off there. Bingo, e-bongo. Almost time to clock off. How's about that then? Not a bad looking socket, is it? Of course, it's not our job to do the filling. We've just sort of we put a bit of filler on there, bit of one strike just to tidy up around the socket itself, and then obviously the homeowner's going to fill the chase because that's his bag, isn't it, my duck?
Yep.
So I think we're done, aren't we? Consuming unit's on, socket's done. Wasn't able to do the kitchen because we lacked the person power. See how politically correct I was there? The person power for that job. So we'll get well soon, Nigel. Hope your pubic area clears up. Did you say something about the pub?
Yeah, I did.
Fucking A. Cheers, my duck. It was actually quite nice without Nigel as well, wasn't it, as you were saying?
No, I like Nigel.
Nobody likes Nigel.
Come back, Nigel. Please.
I bet you're missing this, are you, Nige?
Sorry about your penis, Nige.
And on that note, cheers.